Hey, hey, hey. Guess what? I'm here a lot earlier than I had planned. I have something that I need to do later on today, so I've decided to do the live a little bit earlier. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Linda G. Robert. You're back in the groove again, coach. I'm a travel coach. I'm also a travel agent with Travel Only. You may not have known that. So today is the last day, it's the final day of my series, of my special Camino series. And over the last few days, since Monday, we've covered, everything from choosing your Camino route to packing essentials to staying present, right, when you're walking the Camino. And of course, yesterday we talked about preparing physically for the walk. Now, today we're finishing strong with a key topic, accommodation. Of course, we have to consider accommodations when we're walking the Camino. So, when you're planning your Camino, accommodations are a major decision that will shape your overall experience. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, privacy, or a mix of both, your choice really matters. So, let's first talk about hostels. Now, I haven't stayed in a hostel before. I stayed in a hotel that was also a hostel. So they're perfect, really, for budget conscious travelers and those who love to meet other pilgrims. So if you want to meet a lot of pilgrims, you want to book in hostels. They're flexible. You can often book them at the last minute using an app and sometimes just a day or two before. However, many operate on a first come, first served basis, especially during peak seasons. So, this is something you want to keep in mind. And some of them close when it's off peak season. So, you want to keep that in mind too. Now, if you stay in hostels, be prepared to bring additional items like a sleeping bag or a liner, since bedding isn't always provided or guaranteed. A lightweight, quick drying towel might be really advantageous because they're not always guaranteed either. So, staying in hostels also means that you might need to carry more gear. That means your backpack might need to be a little bit heavier in some cases or bigger. But it's really a fantastic way, to embrace the communal spirit of the Camino. And you won't feel obligated to walk to your next destination. You can actually stop, find a hostel when you're ready to stop walking for the day, which means your day might be shorter or longer. You don't need to keep walking to reach the hotel like I did. Now, hotels, on the other hand, offer more comfort, of course, and more privacy. And after a long day of walking, there's nothing like staying in a cozy room with your own bathroom that feels like really luxury. And all hotels that I've stayed in, including some of the farmhouses that I stayed in during my last Camino, which was on the Portuguese Way, the central route, had really, really good showers and good water pressure. And that was so important to us after a long day of walking. And some even had bathtubs. And that was really, really special. It was a nice surprise to see a bathtub. Some had coffee machines, some small fridges, some had teas, and that really depended on the hotel, the city, or the town. So it wasn't guaranteed. So if you choose hotels, you can often book them independently, just a few days, 1 or 2 days in advance. But if you'd rather have everything handled for you, like I did, consider working with a company like Galley Wonders. Now, there's a lot of companies. I use Galley Wonders, and I found them very beneficial, very useful. They'll organize your accommodations, arrange baggage transfers, and make sure that everything is seamless so that you can enjoy your walk. You can enjoy your Camino. Now, if you do book with them, use my name to get a discount and let them know that I referred them to you. Now, whether you're staying in hostels or hotels, baggage transfer services are a game changer. Now, these types of services allow you to just carry just what you need for the day while your suitcase or your larger bag is delivered to your next accommodation. But that would mean you need to have that uh, planned ahead of time, right? You don't need to go through a booking company like Galley Wonders. You can find this type of service on your own, but you do need to know where you're going so that you can deliver it, right? So this service is especially helpful if you want to travel light or if carrying a heavier backpack isn't feasible for you for various reasons. Your choice of accommodation will obviously affect your packing, right? It's simple. So if you're staying in hostels, you'll need to pack for self-sufficiency, right? So that means you'll need some bedding, some towels, and other essentials. But in hotels, that allows you to travel a little lighter, as they typically provide these types of things. Of course, you'll have your towels and you'll have your sheets when you book a bed, right? When you book a room. So booking through a company or using a baggage transfer services can simplify your Camino even further. So I hope this series has given you the tools to confidently plan your Camino journey. And to help you take the next step, don't forget, grab a copy of my 10-step guide to help you prepare for your Camino. It's packed with tips and reflection questions and everything basically you need to start thinking about your journey even more. And you're going to find it at lindagrobert.com/Camino. I kept it simple. And of course, there's also my upcoming webinar. It's live on December 28th. And during this session, I'll be sharing, even more in-depth insights to help you prepare mentally and physically and spiritually for the Camino. And you could sign up for that, but space is limited, so you might have to do it really soon. You can go to lindagrobert.com/webinar for that. I want to thank you for joining me on this special Camino series. I've had a lot of fun preparing these for you and sharing my insights with you. And just a couple of other things I'm going to share just in another minute or so, about the accommodations. I hope you have a buen Camino. A couple of other things I want to mention. I'm preparing another series starting on December 30th after the webinar, where I'm going to talk more about some of the fears that might be preventing some of you really from even thinking about walking the Camino. So, of course, it'll be a lot more than that because I'm going to have it from the December 30th to January 3rd or the 2nd, the Friday. Now, as you prepare for your first walk, your first or second or even third Camino or more, remember, your journey starts long before you take the first step. It begins with the choices that you make today, like downloading the guide, of course, and signing up for the webinar, and of course, deciding on the type of accommodations and the route that you're going to take. So there's, that thinking that's exciting. The thinking that you need to do beforehand is as exciting as the walk itself. So I want to add a little bit more in terms of the accommodations. Now, I'll tell you why I decided to book through Galley Wonders. A couple of things. When I first started thinking of the Camino, I wasn't sure, number one, if I'd be able to walk for 30 kilometers, 35 kilometers. I wasn't sure at all. I had a lot of questions. And I didn't want the pressure of finding accommodations at the last minute. I just didn't want that. So I knew that if I went with a company, they would book everything ahead of time. And that's what they did. So when I contacted them, I actually contacted another company before too, and they never responded. And I didn't like that. Then when I contacted Galley Wonders, they responded right away. They sent me the whole itinerary. That was when I went to Del Norte. So I knew that I'd be walking for X number of days, and I knew how many kilometers I'd be walking. And I saw that first itinerary and I went, I didn't want to walk 35 kilometers a day. Wasn't sure if I could even walk 25, 30 kilometers a day. So I sent him a message and I said, I'm not sure if I can walk 30, 35 kilometers a day. Can we change the itinerary? And of course they did. And I thought I'd also wanted to have some rest days every now and then. So what they did on that particular itinerary is they gave me a rest day about every fifth or sixth day. So that made the walk for me a total of 35 days. I didn't walk 35 days, I walked for 30 days, but the total of that walk for me, that experience for me, was 35 days. So that was great. I was able to rest, which was really important to rest. The other thing that I really liked about going and veering towards company, if you're going to Camino with me, like next year, yes, we'll be going through a company. We'll be going through Gallon Wonders. But I'll talk about the differences. So another thing that I wasn't sure about, like I wasn't sure, what if I can't walk the entire day? They were able to answer my questions. So I said, what if I can't walk 30 days? They said, no worries. You can always call a taxi, take a bus to your next destination, right? So I knew that if I wasn't sure to make it to my hotel because of being tired or whatever it was, I knew that, and this is, I've heard that along the way too. You can take a bus to the next destination, or you can take a taxi if you want to the next destination. That's not an issue. And I think that when I was walking the Portuguese way, that some elderly people might have taken a taxi to their next destination. That's fine because it's about your Camino, right? It's your Camino. There's no perfect way of doing it. It's your way of doing it. Now, the other thing I want to say about the disadvantages of hotels. Now, in this case, I'm talking about when I walked it by myself. I walked the Del Norte by myself, right? And I walked the Portuguese way with a friend. I invited someone to come with me. Completely different experience. But when I walked it by myself, and I had hotels, which was really nice. But the disadvantages is that I felt a little bit isolated by what was really what I could have had in terms of an experience. I loved my walk. I loved the fact that I knew where I was going, but I also felt more loneliness, and I managed it. But I felt a little bit more loneliness because I knew that if I stayed in a hostel, which I didn't want, I'd be able to eat with other people. And here's what happened towards the last, oh, maybe the last week, I can't remember exactly. There were two hotels that were also booked in locations where the hostel was situated. And I had the opportunity to eat with other people. Now, I know that sounds really strange, but remember, I traveled by myself. So most of the times I had to eat by myself, right? There weren't a lot of pilgrims in the hotels that I was staying. But those two opportunities that I had of eating with other pilgrims were really cool. It was a lot more fun, a lot more enjoyable. So the experience is definitely different, that's for sure. Now, when I walked on the Portuguese way, my friend and I, Marianne, walked together most of the time. We stayed, of course, in the same room. We could have booked separate rooms, but we're friends, so we stayed in the same room. And that meant, too, that we were able to eat breakfast together and have our meals together as well. That made a big difference, too. So, it really does depend on what you want to experience in terms of accommodations. And I think that's one of the biggest decisions you might have to make, other than the route that you're going to choose, of course, too. But the route itself can be, and this is things that I'll be sharing in the webinar, but because you don't need to do the entire route, right? You don't need to do 800 kilometers. You could break it down. I'll talk more about that when I do the webinar. And of course, I'll talk more about that. I'm in the process of, just FYI, I'm in the process of developing two courses. One is more of a program. I'll just tell you a little bit about it. So one of the programs, which will be an 8-week course, it's going to be to prepare you to walk one of the Caminos. The lessons are going to be pre-recorded, so you'll have access to it at any time. But we'll also be meeting once a week when you want. Now, I haven't decided if I'm going to have a set date and time to meet. I'm not sure. I haven't decided that part yet. Let me know what you think. But it will prepare you, much like some of the content that I've shared over the last little while. It'll prepare you physically, mentally, spiritually to walk a Camino of your choice. The 6-month program is something that's a little bit more exciting, and I'm looking forward to develop that as well, where we're going to be in class together, where I will be preparing you, of course, same idea, preparing you physically, mentally, spiritually, but to walk a Camino with me. And my goal next September is to walk the coastal route of the starting in Porto and ending in Santiago de Compostela. Like this year, I walked the central route, but my goal in September is to walk the coastal route, and I want you to come with me. I want you to come with me and experience it. So the course, the 6-month course, will be divided up in, of course, lessons where we're going to be meeting. I think they're all going to be live, but I haven't decided that part yet. I think they're all going to be live courses where we have a different theme, every 2 weeks. And that's for 6 months. I'll be getting into a lot more details. I'll be showing you how to use the polls, for example. So there's a lot more detail on that particular course program. And then, of course, we meet in Porto and we start our walk together. And I think that's going to be great. Now, because I see the transformative nature of the Camino, we're not always going to be walking together. There's going to be a few days at the beginning of the walk where we will be walking together for sure. And of course, if you're not ready to walk on your own, not a problem. I'm there, right? But a lot of times what happens, and this is something that I experienced with my friend, is after a few days of knowing a little bit more about the route, knowing how to find those signs, you gain more confidence, and that's what will more than likely happen. So we'll eat breakfast together and dinner together, but we might not be walking the whole part together. And I am super excited about this particular program as well, because it's magical for me. It's magical for me. It'll be magical for you, but it'll be magical for me for a different reason, because I'm going to see you transform. You're going to experience it, but I'm going to experience it from a different way. So if you want more information on that, you can always send me an email at backinthegrooveagain@gmail.com. The program hasn't been developed yet. I'm going to start doing that, probably in the new year, working on that. But it's exciting. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And that is especially if you're reluctant to walk it. And that's what these programs are for. Both of them they're here to help you prepare for it. But the one that's the 6-month program, I'm going to be guiding you along the way. I'm a coach. I'm a travel coach, and that's what I'm here for. I'm really here to help you shape your life, transform your life, right? That's what it's all about. So on that note, I think I've extended this live a little bit too long. You'll be able to watch the recording if you're watching the update, the recording. Add your comments. I will be going through the comments. If you have any questions, I'll respond to your questions as well. All right, well, that's it. I hope to see you during the webinar for sure. And on December 30th, I'm going to have another series. I hope to see you there as well. And don't forget, download my free guide, 10-step guide at lindagrobert.com/Camino. And the webinar, to register for it, it's www.lindagrupp.com/webinar, and it's free to boot. Take care. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye now.